Professor Mary McAleese wins the Fianna Fáil nomination, defeating Albert Reynolds. Unionists are back talking at Stormont, but not as yet to Sinn Féin. First National Building Society seeks to be quoted on the Dublin Stock Exchange. And a ban on anti-personnel landmines described as a victory for humanity. Good evening and welcome. Queen's University Professor Mary McAleese has caused a major political upset in securing the Fianna Fáil nomination for the presidency over the former party leader and Taoiseach Albert Reynolds. Bertie Ahern said even he was surprised at the outcome of his party's vote, but he said it was a vigorously fought contest. Albert Reynolds said he was deeply disappointed, but he pledged full support for Professor McAleese.
The race to become the 8th President of Ireland took another dramatic twist today, when Professor Mary McAleese caused a political earthquake within Fianna Fáil and won the party nomination from Albert Reynolds and Michael O'Kennedy. After the first count, the former Taoiseach was just 7 votes ahead. But in the second ballot, it seems as if all those who voted for Michael O'Kennedy transferred to the Queen's University Professor, thus ensuring one of the biggest political upsets in Irish party politics in recent times. As the victorious candidate emerged from Leinster House, he was flanked by Bertie Ahern and other leading members of the party. Though Professor McAleese says her natural home is Fianna Fáil, she's not currently a member of the party. At a crowded news conference, even Mr Ahern reflected the total surprise, not only among the media, but also among his party colleagues at the outcome.
In the words of both Michael Kennedy and Albert Reynolds, that once we went out the door of that party room, the contest was over. We have a united candidate, and if for some surprise, as there was some surprise in the room, there's no doubting that, we have Mary McAleese as our candidate in the election.
Thank you very much indeed, Taoiseach. Can I tell you how deeply grateful I am, first of all, to the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party for allowing me to go forward as the Fianna Fáil presidential nominee. I'm very proud and very happy to carry that banner and to carry it to Oris and Oughterán in the service of the people of Ireland. Can I also say that I would pledge myself, coming as I do from the north, to use the role of president every day and every minute of every day as a mechanism for bringing people to each other simply and solely in friendship, with no other agenda beyond the getting to know each other as friends.
Meanwhile, Mr Ahern accepted that it had been a vigorously fought contest.
The Parliamentary Party, by a fairly strong vote, not a huge vote, but a strong vote, have nominated our candidate as Mary McAleese, and we will all together now fight, and as we always traditionally have done in Fianna Fáil, do our utmost to win this highest office in the land.
At the end of the news conference, there was considerable attention focused on Albert Reynolds, the man who many believed was favoured to get the nomination.
Look, it's her day, it's not mine, so... Sure, I did, twice already. Sorry?
Well, I mean, how do you feel?
I feel very surprised and deeply disappointed with the result. But the democratic right of the party is to choose their candidate. I've done that and I live with it.
But there was a campaign to stop you. There was no doubt there was a lot of strong
I'm not getting into those areas at all. You can evaluate that as you wish, and everybody else can.
But you are very disappointed.
Very disappointed, naturally.
46-year-old Professor McAleese is married with 3 children. She's not new to the political arena, having contested a general election for Fianna Fáil 10 years ago. She was born in Belfast, where she's now Pro-Vice-Chancellor of Queen's University. Michael Fisher has been looking back at her career.
Mary McAleese spent her formative years in the Ardoyne area of North Belfast, entering Queen's University in 1969, just as the troubles in the north began. While she was studying law, the family home was attacked by loyalists and they moved to Dublin for safety. Her legal talents were recognised when, after qualifying as a barrister on both sides of the border, she was appointed Reid Professor of Criminal Law at Trinity College Dublin at the age of 24. Coincidentally, her predecessor was Mary Robinson, who later became president. As a presenter on the RTE programme 7 Days, Mary McAleese reported extensively on current affairs. Her academic work involved her with humanitarian issues, such as prison reform, and she was the only woman on the Catholic Bishops' delegation at the 1984 New Ireland Forum. Her first entry into politics was unsuccessful when Charles Haughey added her to the Fianna Fáil ticket in Dublin South East in 1987. The same year she returned to the North on being appointed Director of the Queen's University Institute of Professional Legal Studies. 3 years ago she became the first woman and the first Catholic to be appointed Pro-Vice-Chancellor, the second highest post at the university. She has broadcast and written extensively on issues such as sectarianism and abortion, attacking what she called the pro-choice feminist agenda setters. But she has also campaigned on changing the laws governing homosexuality and took a stand in favour of women priests.
And our political correspondent Una Claffey joins us now from Leinster House. Una, Bertie Ahern stressed that he kept out of the selection contest, yet presumably he is a happy man tonight.
Well, I suspect he's a very happy man tonight, and indeed he has very good reason to be. He has a formidable candidate in Mary McAleese. She was convincingly selected by the parliamentary party under rules indeed which were changed when Albert Reynolds himself became Taoiseach. He's avoided a by-election and the possible destabilisation of the government. There's the possibility now that the PDs indeed might come on board and support McAleese. He's also managed to achieve a situation in which he has greatly surprised the opposition, obviously a useful weapon in one's armoury when going into battle, and he's also avoided a direct confrontation himself with Albert Reynolds, and now finds himself in a situation where Mr Reynolds has been rejected by his own peers, the parliamentary party.
But of course Albert Reynolds did have loyal supporters whom he had canvassed. He was early into this campaign. Will the party unite? We heard Bertie Ahern saying that he thought it would unite behind Professor McAleese.
Well, that obviously is the hope, and I suspect it probably will be the reality, but that's not to say that there aren't people who are deeply disappointed. And not least of them, of course, is Albert Reynolds himself, who showed his disappointment very graphically on his face today. Although, in fairness to Mr Reynolds, he was very quick to say that he would support the candidacy of Mary McAleese. It's also a short time since the government was formed, so there'll be various people who might have been expecting promotion, or whose constituency colleagues might have expected promotion for them that didn't materialise. But I think if the McAleese campaign takes off and there's any sense of groundswell or bandwagon, then you'll see definitely a united Fianna Fáil, but I think there'll still be some work to be done on that front.
And of course, Una, the prospects of an unprecedented run into this presidential election, 4 candidates so far and 4 women. How is that still male bastion of Leinster House bearing up?
Well, I heard one interesting comment today in Leinster House. It was from one male TD to a male colleague of mine. Now, I have to say it was said in banter. And the comment was, my goodness, what are we going to do? And I looked at the two of them and I said, you're going to do what we've had to do every election until now.
Thank you for that, Una.